item that I would like to do is make a presentation to our guest over here, Mr. Jimmy Rich. Most of you probably don't know, but Jimmy has cleaned up, I think it's Sutherland Graveyard.
It's got more Sutherland there than anybody else.
Okay, so we'll call it the Sutherland Graveyard, right there in the edge of Kenansville on Highway 50 across from the elementary school. Now all these years when I passed, I knew there was a clump of trees there and it looked like one stone was just about to fall in the ditch. And I thought, well, I just don't know what all is there. But Jimmy seemed to be the only one that had enough care to check out and see what was there. So he has cleaned that cemetery. It looks really nice. He has put a wooden picket-like fence around it. And you can actually tell he probably set up a lot of stones, head markers, didn't you, Jimmy?
I don't think there was a single one left standing like it should be.
That was a crooked one that was about to fall in the ditch, and that was the only one you could see. So now it looks like a nice cemetery, and I'm sure people will be stopping by to see who's buried there. And nobody urged him to do that or encouraged him. He just took it on his own to do a historical project, and we're mighty proud of him. We should have been out there doing it ourselves, sonny, and we neglected to do that.
I got a picture on my cell phone of it, if anybody wants to see it. It's just
Well, it sure looks pretty. Have you done all that needs doing, Jimmy, or is it going to
I
take
think
a
we got
little?
just a little bit of fence left, and we started it and we got a little slack period, and we got busy and they got another slack period, and we got it around where it looked like it was finished, and we got busy again, and so we're gonna get through it
So
one
from
day.
the front, it looks like you finished, so
Yeah.
we can all say it looks really good. But once the temperature got in the 90s, that took away from your graveyard time, didn't it?
That's
Had to
exactly right.
Get to the air conditioning. So with that, Jimmy has his friend with him today, Miss Paulette Vance. We're mighty proud of her and appreciate you coming, Paulette. And with that, Jimmy, if you'll come forward, I will present you with this certificate. It's not worth a cent when we're talking about money, but it's worth a lot when we tell you how much we appreciate that. And it says Duplin County Historical Society presents this Albert Timothy Outlaw Award to Jimmy Wayne Rich for outstanding historical preservation. And it's dated this August the 6th, 2016 at Kenansville, North Carolina. So Jimmy, thank you.
Things like this is always important, but this is something I've never expected whatsoever. I did all that just on my own. It was there in the edge of town, and those woods between my house and the next house over, it just made the whole place look better to have that cleaned up. And when I got that cleaned up and got to the cemetery, I said, well, we can't leave it like it is, we got to fix it too.
So you didn't do it for appreciation, but we do appreciate it, Jimmy, we really do. So thank you a lot.
We move on to our speaker for today, and his name is Tyrone Rowell. Lives in Wilmington, and he's done a lot of things for a lot of years. He served at 34 years at the University of North Carolina, and he spent 9 years in the U.S. Army. And then 9 years appointed North Carolina ambassador for the U.S. Army Reserve. But he's here today to tell us about the new museum that's going to be in Fayetteville, and they're going to do a storytelling collection. And I don't know any details more than that. I'm hoping that Ty will be able to enlighten us on all of it, and he'll be able to take our own personal Civil War stories and part of the museum. Okay? Anyway, Todd, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Kevin, welcome again to our Lincoln County. I'm just glad to have you.
Thank you, sir. It's interesting. I've always enjoyed being around folks that have appreciation for history. And it's especially meaningful even today, August the 6th, which is, of course, the anniversary date, final beginning of World War II with the bombing over Hiroshima. But I thought about that on the way up today, and I said it's nice to be with folks who do appreciate history, local history. There are two things in my mind about Rose Hill personally. I've been at the university a fairly good while, and the only time I've been in this restaurant was I came up here once a year ago and had dinner with Dallas Harris, and I enjoyed him. I used to come and visit his home a lot, but I found him to be a fascinating character, and you folks can be very proud of the heritage here. Whatever happened to his historical and genealogy books he had in his library at home? Where did they get to, you know?
They are now housed in Pender County in a special building right across from the main Pender County Library that the county commissioners did. It's the whole entire collection is there, and it's been made into a regional research library.
Well, he had, I don't know whether you folks have been to his house, he had so much historical stuff in his home that he actually had a librarian under his house a couple days a week to help him keep us. And I was just fascinated with that. And the other time I was up here, I brought Chancellor Wagner, who was Chancellor of UNCW at the time, and he spoke at a local civic club here. And Chancellor Wagner, if you didn't know him, was a real raconteur. He loved to wax on and on. He started talking about your favorite son, Hinton James. And of course, one of the three original buildings on the campus is named for him, Hinton James. Anyway, Wagner went on and just talked about how this man had walked through snow and cold weather and finally got up to Chapel Hill to become the first student enrolled at the university, what became the University of North Carolina. He went on and on about how he had walked through the snow. Well, when the meeting was over, two little old ladies, much like somebody might be in this room, got him in a corner, started chewing him out. And I just sort of backed away. And they said, we'll have you know we are direct descendants of him, James. Said he did not walk up there. He rode his fine horse and took his manservant. So there are two stories about how they got there. But when we created Wilmington College, they thought so much of your local native that one of the three original buildings was, of course, named for him. The other was named for Hoggard Hall, named for Dr. John Hoggard, the medical doctor who was president of Wilmington College when he moved there. And as historians, you would appreciate the fact that as a young man before he became a medical doctor, he was with Teddy Roosevelt, was one of the Rough Riders in San Juan. So he was quite a character. And the other was Edmund Alderman, a Wilmington native, who had nothing to do with the college, but he was such an esteemed educator. He had been president of the University of Virginia, University of Tulane, and the University of North Carolina. I mean, this is a fellow out of the local woods here. So, but anyway, so those are the three buildings. But the history is important, and you folks have done a lot, and I appreciate your attempt to keep it alive. Let me tell you what I want to talk to you briefly about today. You know from your own dwindling membership, and memberships like your group across the country, that history is going to be lost to us pretty soon, first class. In Fayetteville, under the leadership up there, they are planning it's a $65 million operation called the North Carolina Civil War History Center. Not a museum, but a history center. And the purpose of this facility is going to be half state funded and half private funded. It's going to be located on the site in Fayetteville, what's called the Old Arsenal. You may be familiar with that, but it's near downtown Fayetteville. And what they're going to do is make it an education center. They're going to try to find a place. It's not celebrating battles. It's not celebrating any particular point of view of the war. What they're trying to do is say, what happened to the people of North Carolina during that war? We're talking about the period before the war, the antebellum period, periods during the war, and the periods after the war during the Reconstruction period. We're talking about the soldiers, North and South. We're talking about folks, yeomen, folks who didn't go to the war. We're talking about the Quakers who lived among us in the state, who lived in that period. We're talking about free slaves. We're talking about slaves. We're talking about Union soldiers. We're talking about the whole context. What happened here at home? What happened after the home? And one of the things that the museum wants to do is to try to find a way to collect some of these stories from people just like those of you in this room that you've heard passed down. Sometimes it's come down through letters, sometimes oral stories to your family. What happened? How are these folks making? What happened to their home front? I was in Burgall, and a lady I was talking to was 94 years old, and she sat and talked about her grandfather. Her grandfather, this woman still living, her grandfather was a POW in the Civil War. And she talked about how he survived being a prisoner at Elmira, which is an upstate New York Union prison. Because she said his daddy had taught him how to carve little wooden figures when he was a boy. We're using tobacco sticks and pieces of wood. He used that skill set to make toys. When scraps of wood in the prison system, he traded it to the guards for food. That's how he survived and came home. I'm hearing all kinds of stories. They picked about 10 of us, I'm just one of the 10, 12 people, to try to collect some of these stories. And I've been working in Pender, Brunswick, New Hanover, Carteret, Duplin, Brunswick, and the county that I quite frankly have had no success in because of no organized groups like yours is Jonestown. That's my last one to try to get something in. So if any of you have any contacts in Jones County, please let me know. But basically, these folks are sending in these stories. People will say, you know, this is what they've always told us, but we don't have any proof of it. But that's okay. Did you know that there are 2 chapters in this region of Sons? I've been to Sons of Confederacy, been to historical groups, been to Civil War roundtable groups, been to some civic groups, and it's been fascinating that there are 2 chapters I've been to of Sons of Union veterans in North Carolina. It's around the New Bern area. And I asked them, I said, how did this come about? And they said that, of course, Union, that area was occupied early on during the war. For most of them, I guess, during throughout the war. And many of those soldiers stayed and married local women and stayed in the area, so they became citizens. But they're Sons of Union. There are 2 chapters, and they're involved in projects much like yours in preserving the history. They're putting up flags at some of the Confederate cemeteries around New Bern. That's some of the work that they're doing. But I have never been to a place yet, not any place, where the members weren't, first of all, interested in what happened to them, what happened to their families. There's no recrimination. And I get upset when I talk to folks not associated with historical groups, think that these people are one-sided group. These are people interested in the history and preserving the history. This facility in Fayetteville, why Fayetteville? That's the first thing I asked him, why Fayetteville? Senator Tony Rand got some of the funding for it. And I thought, and there's the local support from up there, and the site was available, and that's where it would be. They're going to have auditoriums in there. They're going to have high-tech display. They're going to have where you can access some of this data from your own home, the digital. The purpose of it is to educate all the citizens, including young people, about that event, those periods before, during, and after the war. It's not a museum of battles. You know, we've got those all over the state, but this is the museum of people. And it's important that you have your family stories in there. If you don't do it, and if you're honest with yourselves, if you don't do it, if you're waiting for the generation behind you to do it, they're going to be even less information later. And 2 generations beyond that, it's going to be gone. And so I think you owe it to yourselves, you owe it to your family, you owe it to your ancestors, and to the future students of all kinds. Figure out what happened. We're talking to Quaker families. It talk about how much, what they experienced during the war, from both sides that came through. And but most of the people we've talked to have been genuinely interested in preserving those artifacts of memory. Those things were passed down, like this woman in Burbank and others. As a matter of fact, it's not part of the museum project, but while I was in Burbank, when I finished talking to this lady, she says, well, you need to talk to my husband. He's next door, next room. And I said, he said, she said, did you know, have you ever heard of the Montford Point Marines? I said, yes. They was the first black Marines. As you know, they've been honored recently by President Obama, those folks in there. She said, well, their commanding officer was my husband. So she took me around the next room. And here sits this elderly gentleman, about 95, who tells me all about the Montford Point Marines and who the sergeants were and what they did and their history. And I said, did you go to Washington recently when President Obama gave you folks the Congressional Medal? He said, no, I couldn't travel. He said, they sent a group down to Burbank, and we had a ceremony at the local fire station. And he showed me his framed Congressional Medal that the President had given all those folks. So it's amazing what you stumble over to when you're out moving around. But anyway, I encourage you to, first of all, I've left some information for you that we're going to pass out. And then, but basically what I want to come out of this thing is I'm going to leave you some forms. Please take these back and look at them. It's nothing more than, can you think of anything that's ever been passed down in your family, orally or written, it doesn't matter. We want this to be part of this museum. You need to have it in there. If not, you're forfeiting your family's right to have its voice in this museum. Again, it's called a History Center. It's not called a museum. It's in Fayetteville because the land was available, funding was available. They're about halfway through their funds. They'll start constructing probably in about 18 months. It's at the old Arsenal site. The History Center does not take sides. It is not promoting one cause of the war, one point of view of the war. It's the experiences of the slaves, the blacks, the frees, the Quakers, the Confederacy, the Union, the folks who didn't know what to do. It's everybody. It's important, but if you don't get that full picture, then you're denying the future generations an opportunity to understand. As I say, it's a $65 million project. It's underway. Construction should be underway real soon. I have some larger pictures here. I have just one of these brochures that I'm going to leave for you to look at here. It shows you the floor plan, the layout, but it'll be auditoriums, it'll be classrooms, it'll be conservation labs, lots and lots of space for school kids to come in for lectures and research. And you can ultimately call up some of this stuff from your own home through a digital form. But left brochures for you to take home with you, explains more about the center. And if you choose not to be, if you can be part of it and you choose not to be part of it, I think you shortchange yourself, quite frankly, and your family, and your history. But I want you to go back and think about it and say, what did I hear from my grandparents? What are some of the stories? We've had folks talk about that they came home and they were so nasty, so dirty, so tired, they wouldn't let them in the house until they got naked in the yard and burned all their clothes and came in. We've heard all kinds of stories that have been passed down through the years. And these are going to be permanent records. And if you choose to be part of it, I think there will be generations that follow you that will be winning for this thing. And I'm going to stop there and tell you that's what I'm here for. I'm not here for any money. I'm not here for anything other than let you know that this is coming out of the ground in the next year. It's going to be a wonderful research center. And I do encourage you to make a plan to visit once it's open, as I know you will want to. But make sure when you visit that you can find your story too, your family story. Because if you don't do that, I know you regret it. I know your family will be losing for it. So I'm going to stop there and ask you if you have any questions for me about it. Yes, sir.
You say it should be open in about a year?
No, sir. I think they're going to start construction in a year. I think it's probably those things are 2 years.
So 2 to 3 years?
Yes, so 2 to 3 years you'll be able to walk into it. But the construction should start in a year.
Where in Fayetteville?
It's at the site of the old arsenal. It's right off of 301, as it crosses through Fayetteville. Matter of fact, the property will bridge the highway with a walkway with buildings across the highway. and you can get a better idea from this map here, but it's about a quarter of a mile or less from downtown Fayetteville on the east, on this side. And of course, they're saying it's next to 95, you know, so there'll be a lot of through traffic. Yes,
We
yes,
don't
ma'am.
have a question, but a comment. We can help you a little bit with Jones County.
Oh, bless you. I made
Just a
two
little
trips.
bit.
Yeah, I'd never been to Jones County until I started trying to go up there. That's a interesting place.
I got a name for you too, Jones County.
Okay, well that's
His great grandfather.
yes. It's somewhat of a rural county.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy seeing I wasn't a visitor, but I saw the outside of the Trenton, your county jail, the old jail. It looks straight out of a set of an old Western movie. It's really an interesting town. Yes, ma'am.
Is the intention to use all of the material that's sent to you, or will you have people going through it and weeding out and
No, ma'am,
selecting?
it's the intention of using it all. What will happen is, if it needs some clarification, they might edit some of it so folks could
Makes
it's
more
real.
clear.
They won't change it. They won't pick and choose to say, no, we've got too many of these and too many of those, we need more of these. That's not it at all. Because some folks are reluctant to write in, they say, well, the way it was written, if it's a letter and you send a letter, then they would be very careful not to change the letter. But if you write some information and an editor decides, and I know we have editor in the room, but sometimes you need to rephrase something so somebody can understand it, not to change the meaning at all. It's not that at all. Yes, sir. Leon.
My wife's family, there were 3 brothers in the Civil War, and they wrote letters home quite a bit, and they published it in a book form. Now, would that be something you'd be interested in having?
Yes, sir. That'd be something they could use that on their files. Yes, sir. Very much so. Don't send us. In other words, if you've got something very rare, give us a copy of it. You know, or unless the family's saying, "Listen, Ty, after I'm gone, they're going to burn it. So please take it." You know, something like that. Good keeping, we'll take it. But yes, we'd be delighted to get that. Yes, ma'am.
I need to talk to you after the meeting, because
Yes.
there are several things.
Okay, thank you. But anyway, so that's my purpose here. And I've visited maybe 25 or 30 similar groups to yours, and all of them have been very interesting. I've enjoyed the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Those tend to be a loud bunch.
Yeah, they are.
But by the same token, they start every meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, they are.
You know, and I find them to be some of the. I've talked to the folks who run these programs I'm helping with, and some of the volunteers, some of the workers getting these stories have been scared off. And some of the young people have been scared off by going to some of these meetings, and I don't understand that because nothing scares me. I'm too old and leather, you know. So I've had some success, and it's been something I've greatly enjoyed doing. I've done it for the last 12 months now. And when I was up here today, I'm finishing up, except if I can get some leads in Jones County, I'll go back up there. But I made 2 trips already to Jones County, and I'm getting pretty familiar with the roads. I say the roads, there are not that many up there. But so if you have some information, when you pick up this information, it'll tell you who to send it to, but you can always contact me now. Even though we'll be finishing up my work with that, you can reach me at, let me give you my email address for those who have an interest. It's Rowell, it's pronounced Rowell. Let me tell you why. Some folks have trouble with it. The woods are full of howls and nowels and howls, but I know right. It's ROWELLT at UNCW.edu. If you have any questions or some information you want to communicate, please give me an email, Paul.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, ma'am. It's ROWELL, Rowell, as in Tyrone, at UNCW. Even though I've retired from the university, they let us keep our email address for a while, so it's really the university email, but that's my email address.
The handouts will have information where to send this.
The form will have information where to send it. It's written on the, and if you will help, he's already distributing those forms and some of the brochures to you now, but I've got one for each one of you here. And if you should hear neighbors or your friends or family you're talking to, be delighted to have them include their information here too. But I'm pleased that groups like you stay active with the local history. Is there somebody here from the Liberty Hall? Is that
From where?
Liberty Hall? Is that you?
Yes, sir.
Are you the docent or domo or what's your?
All we got.
All you got?
Yards keeper, housekeeper.
Well, I'll tell you one quick story since everybody's now deceased. When I was up here again on another trip with Chancellor Wagner, he wanted to see Liberty Hall. So we went to Liberty Hall. And the lady in charge, your counterpart, your predecessor, somebody, was thrilled when she found out that he lived in Keenan House, of course, in Wilmington. And so she took down all the ropes and they took us all throughout the place. And finally she told the story about one of the chairs in that house. She said, this chair was two only ever made like it. She said, we take great pains with this chair. We never knew, history never knew what happened to the other chair. And we got in the car. When we went home, Wagner turned to me and said, I could not tell that lady, that chair is in my bedroom. That's when I hang my trousers on it. So we might have one of your chairs. Well, Mr. President, that's it for me, unless there's some more questions, and I'll stay here and talk to anybody who wants to talk and get any information. But anyway, that's my first.